What if I told you that public speaking isn't just some soft skill, but maybe the single most critical weapon you have for your career? Today, we're going to dive into the legendary How to Speak lecture from MIT's Patrick Winston. This is a masterclass on communication that could honestly change everything for you.
Okay, so Winston kicks things off with this bombshell of a quote. And you have to notice the order here. It's not about your ideas first, it's about your ability to communicate them. He basically argues that even the most brilliant ideas are completely worthless if you can't get them across to other people. It's a radical idea, and it totally reframes what actually drives success. All right, so if speaking is that important, how do you actually get good at it? Well, Winston believed it wasn't some kind of dark art or magic. Instead, he broke it all down into a simple, learnable formula.
And here's that formula. Now, the emphasis is what's really key. Winston's formula says your success is a result of your knowledge, plus your practice, plus a tiny little amount of talent. That T is deliberately small. His whole point is that what you know and how much you practice will always outweigh any natural gift you might have. And this story just illustrates the point perfectly. Winston once saw the Olympic gymnast Mary Lou Retton, a perfect 10 athlete, totally struggling as a beginner on skis. And he had this light bulb moment. He was a much better skier than her, not because he was a better athlete, obviously, but because he had the knowledge and the practice. K plus P beats raw talent every single time. So once you have the knowledge, how do you go about practicing it? Winston offered a set of really powerful techniques to build what he liked to call your armamentarium, which is basically just a fancy word for your personal toolkit for speaking effectively. First up, cycle on your topic. Say it again, and then say it a third time. Why? Because at any given moment, about 20% of your audience is completely zoned out. Second, build a fence. Clearly define what your idea is, and just as importantly, what it is not. This cuts down on confusion. Third, use what he calls verbal punctuation, literally saying things like, "My first point is," to give people a landmark so they can get back on track. And finally, just ask a question. It pulls everyone right back in.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about something we've all suffered through, the absolute crime of bad slides. Winston had a very clear, very simple philosophy on how to avoid the dreaded death by PowerPoint. This anecdote is just perfect. A student, on his way to a huge job talk, asked Winston to critique his slides. And without even looking at them, Winston just says, "You have too many, and they have too many words." And the student asks why, and he says, "Because it's always true." That's the fundamental problem right there.
So, the most important thing to remember is to treat your slides like condiments, not the main course. You are the main course. On the left, you see the crime scene, reading word for word, clutter, useless logos, just junk. And on the right, you see the solution, tons of white space, barely any text, and letting the speaker be the main event. You're the meal. The slides just add a little flavor.
And here is one of his most practical rules. Your minimum font size should be 40 points. Yes, of course, this makes sure everyone can read it. But the real genius here? It physically stops you from putting too many words on the slide in the first place. It's a design constraint that forces you to be clear.
And oh, the sins just keep coming. When you turn your back to do that little laser pointer dance, you completely break your connection with the audience. Winston said a student once told him, "We could all leave and he wouldn't even know." That's the danger. And slides that are too heavy, with no air or white space, force the audience to read instead of listening to you.
Okay, so beyond just the individual slides, Winston really emphasized that the beginning and the end of any talk are where you have the most impact. I mean, these are the moments you absolutely, positively have to get right. His advice on how to start is fantastic. Number one, don't start with a joke. The audience isn't warmed up yet, it'll probably fall flat, and it's just awkward. Instead, you start with an empowerment promise. You tell them exactly what they will know by the end of your talk that they don't know right now. You give them a clear reason to be there and to listen. And the ending? It's even more critical. Winston argued that finishing your talk with "thank you" is the worst possible move you can make. That suggests the audience did you a favor just by sticking around. It's weak, and it completely wastes the most valuable real estate of your entire talk, that final impression. So what's the powerful alternative? This. Your final slide should simply be titled Contributions. This slide lists what you've done, what you've demonstrated, your key takeaways. And here's the kicker. It should stay on the screen during the entire Q&A session, constantly reinforcing your message and establishing your authority. It's a total power move. So as we wrap up this look into Winston's masterclass, the real takeaway here is about being intentional. It's about knowledge and it's about practice. Which leaves us with a final question for you. As you're thinking about your next presentation, what is the one empowerment promise that you'll make to your audience to grab their attention from the very first second?